Arsenal Competitive has lasted for over 3 years, originally starting from a friend group that decided to do clan wars, a huge scrimmage server that hosts every day. One competitive server we all know is Arsenal Competitive League, also named ACL for short. ACL was originally called Arsenal Hosting Hub, which was founded by a man named Owen. He made this server in late 2020. He took inspiration from the clan scene of Arsenal. When ACL was first initiated with the name Arsenal Hosting Hub, they had Railgun Royale matches, or FFAs. These were inspired by former matches that were hosted in previous leagues. The game mode went dry after a few weeks, however, and it vanished from the competitive scene. A lot of people think that ACL is the OG competitive server, but this is not the case. The original server where Arsenal Competitive was born was Arsenal Pro League, also known as APL. APL was made in early 2020, and it was much different from the typical comp scene. They had huge private lobbies instead of 2v2s and 3v3s. The winners of the private games would be crowned and have an increase in their elo. You get points by the number of kills you had in that private lobby. APL had almost every map in their private lobbies. They would have a ranking system of R16 based on how good the players were. The best APL players were Sawapra, Draco, and Server VIP, who were really respected in the community at the time. APL also had a bunch of shirts in their Roblox group, which is where they got most of their Robux from instead of out of their pocket. APL hosted its final few tournaments, and the server eventually got deleted. The merch is still available, and I'll link that in the description, so make sure to check it out. Sad to see such a great community vanish, since APL was one of the least biased and most accurate servers. People had tons of fun in APL, and the server will remain a legend. In September 2020, the Arsenal hosting hub started dying a lot, mostly due to its competitors. So they rebranded the server into Arsenal Competitive League. ACL was made for the solid purpose of showing how you stand competitively in Arsenal. Owen invented the concept of hosting games in Arsenal. He would have a host do @here and what type of match they were playing. People would join the waiting rooms and join the VIP links in separate channels. The players will be set into 2 teams in 2 separate rooms. The teams would be set depending on what their elo was in ACL. Elo was the system that ACL did in the first few weeks of its release. Elo would be gained by matches that you won and lost. The host would add points to the winner of an ACL game, and they can get ranks like bronze, silver, gold, and diamond, and there's much more. ACL had tons of seasons. How seasons worked is that people had to climb their way to the top of the leaderboards from the elo system implemented in the server. Seasons were a bit overwhelming due to the insane growth of ACL, and Owen had to be really active on the server. Owen himself mentioned that he didn't want ACL to have too many members, and he wanted a small, fun community to work with. This did not turn out to be the case, and the high population of members in the server also introduced people who wanted to destroy ACL. ACL was raided in its first few weeks of development by a man named Goodwitch, with the help of Shade. He somehow got admin by lying to the ACL owners and deleted tons of channels. This was the first time that ACL was raided, and it would be the last time as well. You may be wondering, how did this happen? Well, the answer is complicated. If you guys do not know who Leg is, he is a very big OG in the ACL community. He was also ranked R9 and was one of the best Arsenal players. Shade was gonna PC check him after there was a few sus clips posted about him in the media channel of ACL. Shade's friend Goodwitch was infamous for raiding Discord servers. He decided to raid ACL. He told Leg to download a PC checking software named Void Tools, which is commonly used by exploit managers to catch cheaters. However, this was not a PC checking software. It was a token logger. A token logger is a link that will leak all your information. This is scary because it clearly said voidtools.com, but this is a phishing link. If you don't know what a phishing link is, it is a link that looks like a trusted website, but when you click on it, it will take you to a token logger. So basically, it looks like a perfectly fine website, like voidtools.com is a common PC checker that's used from lots of exploit managers. It is a really trustworthy website, but this link basically changes it to make it look like it's that link. And even when you click on it, it's still going to be the same URL. It is really complicated. Leg clicked this link and his Discord account was hacked. Luckily, Discord patched most of these in 2023, but at the time it was a very bad situation. This lets Goodwitch have access to Leg's account. Now, the reason why hacking Leg was so relevant is because he was a senior moderator in the Arsenal Competitive League. This indicates that he had perms to ban people and delete channels. Goodwitch used Leg's account to frame him and completely nuke the server. Luckily, the staff team had a very good administrator named King Hubbo. He quickly acted after seeing the disaster, and he completely saved ACL. The server went back to normal in a span of few hours, which is absolutely insane. After this day, the staff and ACL had to do night shifts just to make sure that nothing like this would ever happen again, which luckily worked. ACL was never raided again, and Goodwitch was banished from the league forever. Now let's talk about the ranking history of ACL. ACL had 10 ranks at first. This went from R1 to R10. A staff member named Genome stated that they should make some kind of rank ladder to show the improvement of the players. This didn't work out, however, and the idea was abandoned. After all, the ACL owners wanted the community to be an inspiration for players to get better at the game. Some of the best players in 2020 were Official Asiany, Bandit, Zuni, Geo, Lebigs, and Xander GPU. There was one that got so good that ACL had to create an R11 rank. This was obviously Draco. He destroyed every R10 that was good in ACL at the time, and it was clear that Draco was more skilled than them all. He was the first person to reach R11. Geo and Adam went up the same path in the later months. Respect in ACL was usually the dependent variable of how good someone is. Draco and Geo gained tons of respect from their skills in Arsenal and were on top of the leaderboard. Over the months, they got better and better each day. Their skills in Clan Wars betrayed them as skilled as well. As time passed, players in ACL wanted to be even more competitive. They wanted to see who the best player in ACL was, and they wanted the highest ranks in the server to compete with each other. This worked perfectly for Owen because this is when he introduced tournaments into ACL. ACL had a Roblox group that was managed by the ACL staff team. This is where you could get ACL merch and also have payouts from tournaments. ACL had different seasons, and it was originally arranged to have weekly tournaments. The first season was hosted by Owen, and the prize was $10 each, and it was a 2v2 tournament. An R9 known as Stormer had won the first ACL tournament. The big problem with this win was that it was unfair. This is because the team was not balanced in any shape or form. Players like Bandit argued that ACL tournaments needed to be non-biased so that everyone would have a chance of winning. This is when Owen created a remastered version of the ACL tournament system. The teams had to be less than the number 20. For example, an R10 could not be with another R10, because those both add up to 20, or go above 20. They had to be with an R9, because that goes to 19. An R11 could not be with an R11, an R10, or an R9, because all of those add up to 20 or go above. So an R11 has to be with an R8, because those go below 20. This is the 20 rule that was implemented. The system was a bit annoying since a lot of players wanted to play with their friends and have an advantage in the tournament. However, this reduced the tension, and it seemed that ACL wanted everyone to have a fair chance of winning. ACL was almost perfect, and the rise had begun at a very early stage. The server had only been out for 1 to 2 months, and they already had over 600 members. Now you may be asking, how did ACL grow this much considering that Owen wasn't a popular content creator in the Arsenal community? This is because Owen owned a clan server named Team Ballad, which almost had 1,000 members by 2021. He essentially promoted the league in his clan server, and this let him gain an astounding amount of members. Owen was also friends with other clan owners, and they broadcasted the server together. ACL was thriving, but it was clear that it would have a great future for the next few years, but this was not the case, and the server would be buried under a cemetery and be one of the most toxic servers to ever exist. Let's move on to 2021, which is ACL's best and worst year. Let's start. Everything in ACL was going smoothly until January 2021. This is when things started to get out of hand. People found different ways to play unfairly in 2v2 matches. Emoting was already prohibited due to issues back in the APO days, but unique ways to cheat were uncovered. This included resetting to avoid death, ghosting, early starting, and people abusing their power. People who were caught doing these things would be punished in the warnings channel. Over 5 warnings in a month would get you blacklisted from the server. The biggest problem was the host team of ACL. Hosts were usually randoms and they would be extremely immature. This included ending games when they were losing, kicking people, throwing when they were losing around, and much more. This led to the community to fall apart. A former player in ACL known as Lebigs confirmed this himself. This is when ACL had to design a ticket system for the members. This ticket system would essentially be operated to report hosts who were not enforcing their job appropriately. A staff member would reach the ticket shortly and review the evidence. If the evidence is reliable, then the host would be given a warning, and in rare cases it would be a demotion. This system would not solve everything, but it gave ACL more equality between the members and the hosts. This created a balance between powers and everyone was satisfied. Now let's move on to the exploiting history of ACL. The longest lasting closet cheater in ACL was Shade. He started ACL in December 2020 and usually destroyed every game. The cheat that was commonly used in ACL in 2020 was Synapse. The reason why Synapse was so hard to catch is because it could be hidden in game capture on recordings. It could also be very non-blatant, and it would be really hard to catch on screen share. However, closet cheaters in 2020 were much rarer than they are now, since many people didn't even know how to closet cheat, or were just too scared to get caught. The biggest factor of why there weren't many closet cheaters was because Synapse was expensive. Most of the ACL players were either underage or early teens. In December 2020, ACL decided to let exploit managers PC check the people who were under suspicion. Owen made a role called On Watch, which basically meant that the person had to PC check or screen share 5 to 6 matches in display and play the same as they did off screen share. This method was very useful, and hence many exploiters were caught cheating. The greatest thing was that people back then used to go very blatant with cheats because they did not know the game mechanics that well. This made the job easier for exploit managers. One thing that I'm surprised about is that ACL did not get taken down. You may be shocked at why I'm asking this, and the reason is because they broke one of the most important TOS rules. This is the rule that PC checking a person's device was against a Discord TOS. Time passed, and in summer of 2021, cheating was extremely rare in ACL. Hundreds of exploiters were caught every week, and it was a bright day for ACL. These days did not last for long, however, and they got worse than ever. Here's why. This was the development of DX9, one of the hardest exploits to detect. Not only was this cheaper than Synapse, but they could hide cheats in Discord screen shares. They also supported Metal and OBS to hide the exploits. The worst thing about DX9 is that it was meant to look like legit gameplay. It was so hard for exploit managers in ACL to see if someone is cheating, just by their gameplay. Exploiters also got smarter and ACL got more unfair. This is when ACL staff member named Genome discovered that DX9 would show a console Windows host under the Roblox in the task manager, which nobody noticed so far. This was the new way of catching DX9 users. Another method was also developed by a former exploit manager to make people hit Shift F9 to show if any past exploits were running in their Roblox game.
The Roblox on the left side. Yeah, click here. Click under arrow, yeah. Click it again. Damn.
What we looking
That's embarrassing, bro.
What are we looking at?
That's embarrassing, bro.
What's embarrassing?
I feel bad for you, bro. That's just quite embarrassing, I'm not gonna lie.
Cheating was not eradicated from ACL. There will always be exploiters no matter where you are. This is because of the Roblox anti-cheat that wasn't very well made at the time. Arsenal devs such as Exone worked hard on the Arsenal anti-cheat, which would patch most of the triggerbot clients, fly hacks, and much more. As time went on to 2022, so many high ranks were exposed in ACL. This included people such as Fen and Monday. Fen was a very respected player in ACL, and he almost had 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. He was known to have the best reaction time. Fen got exposed, and he later quit the game only to comment on a video admitting to his cheating scandal. Nobody was sure who was legit anymore, and things got more complicated. Let's now go back in the timeline of 2021 ACL, and talk about the new rank called R12, which was first reached by Draco and Geo. They ended up being the only legit R12s to ever exist in ACL. The problem with the R12 rank was that nobody hit it legit, and it was only there to ego boost off the players. The max rank was R10, and everyone above that was pretty much the same in skill and only a little better. This moves on to ACL's biggest problem in the ranking system, and that is the bias. I experienced this myself when I used to play in ACL around 2021. People would call me R5 just because I was a random player. People who were more respected and chill in ACL were usually ranked a bit higher. The ACL hosts and rank managers would sometimes make unfair 2v2s for people they did not like. This included giving the players a very bad teammate and making them go against two R8s, and then calling them awful once they got destroyed. This is exactly what I experienced in ACL, and it was one of the reasons I left it personally. A lot of other players had the same experience, and it was very biased in general. The point of ACL was to have fun, but the bias made it very toxic for lots of people. ACL sometimes affected the mental health of the people who played in them. Everyone was extremely competitive, and their ego made it really toxic and sweaty. It is like your entire respect is gone once you lose a game. This is because people view you as insane at the game, and doing badly in even one game can destroy this. High rank players were affected the most by this, and they usually did badly when they were in a different region of ping, and the lower ranks called them awful when they did badly in a game. No matter how toxic ACL was, the system worked at the end of the day. The staff team of ACL had no control over the community, and they could only make minor differences. In May 2021, a huge YouTuber would join ACL and make the server more active than ever. He ended up playing only 2 matches in ACL, one 3v3 against Stormer, which he won, and a 2v2 with Stormer again. This YouTuber was Tanker, who was one of the most popular Arsenal content creators. Before Tanker even played, everyone was calling him trash and awful. This is because Tanker was not known to have competitive experience, so everyone was hating on him. Tanker mentioned in Discord why he was leaving ACL and how toxic the place was. This is not a surprise because Tanker was pretty hated in the league at the time. Now let's talk about Tanker's last game, and another big problem with the maturity of the hosts. Stormer was the host of the 2v2, and he and his teammate were sweating the entire 2v2 they had with Tanker. Tanker was hiding a lot in the game because he did not read the rules. Stormer found this scummy, and he decided to cheat at the end of the 2v2, even though he knew this was against the rules. This shows the host being unfair in ACL games as well. Tanker left ACL and decided to never join the competitive scene ever again. ACL players were bummed out because of this, which is funny since they're the exact reason he left. The ACL community was too unfriendly. As time passed on to late 2021 in ACL, every text in the chat was usually someone arguing or insulting someone. ACL Lounge became a very negative atmosphere. The staff team of ACL also decided to remove the ELO system because it was too overwhelming due to the increase in members. This created a bunch of new problems. Plenty of people were either overranked or misranked. The rank you got was based on what the rank manager thought of your skill. People were also falsely warning people in games where they did nothing wrong. The hosts also became really inactive due to their personal lives. ACL averaged 10 hosts a day, compared to the average of 60 in early 2021. Players like Asiany, Xander, Solar, and Sub-Xerox quit because of the toxicity and how boring it was. It was awful for ACL in summer 2022 because this is when all the updates in Arsenal stopped happening, and almost everyone was quitting Arsenal at the time. The server became so dead that Owen actually decided to name the server... Yeah, I'm not gonna say that. And completely stopped being active. The server was just a meme where the OGs hang out. There are a few ACL matches even today, but it was very rare and the server has mostly had a huge downfall. ACL became one of the greatest competitive servers to an abandoned wasteland. People started moving to new servers after this, like ACH, ACA, and even my server known as ATC, and even Aiming League. Obviously, these will die sooner or later as well, and most of them already got raided. It's sad to see such big servers being abandoned or destroyed, but as Minecraft Story Mode quotes,
"Nothing built can last forever."
But hey, that is all for this video. I actually edited this all on my school laptop, which goes to show that specs didn't affect the quality of the video. I also thank you all for your support lately. We finally hit 3,000 subscribers, so thanks a lot for that. King Hubbo eventually retired from ACL, and a lot of people were bribing staff ownership. The server eventually just became a meme, and everyone completely forgot about ACL. And that is the rise and fall of Arsenal Competitive League. Goodbye.